Nobbs Suzuki Praxis, 10th of July. I'm here with John. We're having ice cream. See, this is what I'm saying, about the master-student relationship, that you don't get to have this kind of thing. But we're here, I bring ice cream, we sit down, we have a waffle cone ice cream, and we talk. And Jackie's just sweeping this path, not because it needed to be swept, but because... And it's got a completely different energy about it than just a path that's been swept. Anyway, here's John Nobbs. Now, I wanted to talk about the Nobbs Suzuki Praxis, and we've just been having a bit of a chat, so I've gone, we're going to pull the phone out and just try and get something down here. So, the other night, you were just saying.
Well, basically, I saw something that I suppose maybe for the first, no, maybe not for the first time, but I saw something like you connecting with some deep inner mythology. And you said, this is the sort of thing you've been feeling since you were a kid or something, which is fine. I'm not going to sort of go into what that thing is, but the point is it's pretty important, because probably for the first time you've actually sort of made something out of this thing, the portrait of your soul's journey, which is something we talk about a lot in that context of that 3 or 4 minutes. It's quite a demanding situation you're in physically, and by having to address these things, I think I started the exercise about 4 times, didn't I? Because I said, you're not doing this. And it wasn't just you, it was lots of people. There's 4 other people there, or 3 other people.
I think we did it 3 times, and the second time, then you said that was 1,000,000 times better.
Yeah. Well, the point I'm saying is I was making sure that, because we had a situation where we had this tightrope, big steel cable tightrope, and I said, okay, it's there, let's just use it. So we did the use, and so we have these rules, which I won't go into. But the advent of the actual tightrope meant that it was much more demanding than usual, because you had to stand on the tightrope and not fall off, etc.
Yep.
So my point about this whole thing is that the corralling of your conscious mind, making sure, because I started about 3 times, because I said, no, you've got to be turning all the time, there's a whole set of rules you must obey, and you weren't obeying them. And they're simple rules that you understand, like where are you in the music?
Yep.
Have you turned right around? Have you... etc. Now, because it's demanding, then I would say your conscious mind's got a clear, factual job description. Am I turning to face the front? This is a 32 count phrase. And what that does is it allows your unconscious mind the sort of the freedom to have its own journey, or it's its own metaphysical journey. And that's what I saw. And I saw there's something going there. And of course, as the observer, as the de facto representative of the cosmos, being the teacher in that situation, I want to know what was going on, what was happening there. So you weren't presenting something so much as occupying a sort of experience, and I would say you'd be somehow accessing part of your, what I would call, personal mythology.
Yeah.
Which can mean lots of things, and I'm not really in a position to. I'm not trying to quantify the mythology, because that's up to you and that's your own thing. So I have my own way of looking at it. I'm not trying to, you're not trying to articulate what the product is. It has its own thing, and its own thing is so mysterious that it's something. I said, you're going to be looking at this moment in 20 years' time and go, that's what that was.
Yeah.
I was accessing this thing. So I was saying to you, all these things that you go through, all these intense experiences, have value much further down the track, and you've got a thing whereby you've got to actually allow yourself to put that in the back of your brain, top left-hand corner, and maybe sit there for 10 or 15 years before you access it again. And that was the whole point. And I was making the point to you that you've got a very intense relationship with life, a very emotionally intense relationship with life. So in order to make that functional, you have to be doing something very physically involving. So the physical involvement has got greater mass, shall we say, than the emotional intensity.
Right.
Otherwise, your emotional intensity will actually just explode you out into all these other directions, which I'm sure you know. So that was the deal. But last night, because of the NSP's got this incredible sort of physical demand.
Yeah.
Then it actually allows the unconscious the freedom to have its own world, its own experience. Without that structure, which is both physical and temporal, spatial, as in rules about where you cannot be, and time rules, and that's what actually allows you this thing. Many people talk the talk of what I'm talking about in terms of the divided mind, but they don't provide the tool. So I had this thing where I might talk about, but I actually provided that tool. So
That's right. Yes. And so what can you? Well, sorry, what are you going to say?
I was just going to talk further about the next part, which was the thing about the 98.4%.
Well, that's good. And I was just going to ask about binary.
Yes, I was saying the conscious mind can only deal in facts. It says yes, no. It's either raining or it's not raining. The car's going or it's not going. There's a whole series of facts in your conscious mind. You need that to stay alive. As in, I don't eat that food because it's poisonous. Don't eat this. Must sleep for 10 hours. Never go to sleep. There's a whole series of facts your life's based on. But that's not your inner world. That's not your imagination. That's not what your life's for. Your life's for your soul to participate in all these experiences, whether it might be racing cars or anything. That's what it's for. So you've got these two things. Your conscious mind's good for staying alive, and what it does is it provides the platform for the unconscious mind to have his experiences. So the question always is, how do you make the conscious mind not involved in the unconscious mind's activity? Because it will get in the way, the old coulda, shoulda, woulda, didn't thing that we talk about.
Yeah.
So that's what that is. And so in an exercise such as the teddy bears off the wall, you had these rules you must stick to. Otherwise, if you don't stick to them, it just turns into this sort of boring improvisation. And you can see the dissipation in the room when people do too much improvisation. It just sort of dissipates. It just sort of and it always does.
It's just people doing stuff.
Just people doing stuff, and stuff that's not measurable. When I stand there as a teacher and you're disobeying the rules, I say, no, that's the wrong. No, you don't. You've got to pick the thing up on that count, not coming in on that count. You've got to be picking it up on that count.
Yeah.
Remember that discussion I had with Jaden?
Yeah, with Jaden, yeah.
And we're talking about half a second.
And then he's quizzing, go, hang on, so what did I do? And then he realised he wasn't going up.
He was going in at the time. He was going and instead of going and.
And then when he pulled it up, he didn't pluck it up. He pulled, like he went in. So still he went in to pull up, and then when he pulled it up, he didn't come vertical.
Up on that count.
But when he didn't go vertical as well. It come up on an angle.
I don't care about that. As long as it's going up. If you're going in, that's not the bear doing anything.
Yeah.
The bear's got to be doing this.
Yeah. But I mean, you pointed out, because he asked you as well, was I not going vertical? And you showed that he was going on an angle. He's like, oh,
I didn't care about the angle.
Oh, you didn't care about that?
No. I was saying he was going in on the count. He wasn't going up on the count.
Yeah, right.
He was going and.
Right. Well, I interpreted he was doing both, and then.
No, he thought he was, but because I'm talking about a very fine point. It's like half a second.
Yeah.
A tenth of a second, but it's still crucial. Am I going in on the count? 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I going up on the count? So it's one. It's not and one.
Yeah, right. Well, I still think there was something in there that he was like, oh, I thought I was going up, but it turns out I was going to the side still at that point where I was still picking it up.
My beef was he was going in on the count, not going up.
Yeah, so I remember
it's very
that
small,
bit too.
But it's very crucial. And what happens, of course, this is another thing that the accuracy of that moment means that everybody in that second is completely in the same moment.
Yeah.
You have 20 people all going up. That costs us thousands of ways of going up. You can go up 2 inches or 10 feet. But the point is that everybody is together at that moment for that one thing.
Right.
So it's collective as well as personal. Another story. But.
Okay. So it doesn't matter if you're not going completely vertical. You can go up on an angle there.
Yeah, but it's still going up.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm just going to log that one in.
As long as there's a difference between that and there, it can go sideways and up. It doesn't matter.
Right. Okay.
As long as it's going up in absolute terms, up. That's still up. That's still up. That's still up.
I see. So you can do that. All right.
Oh
okay.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because there's the vector. One of the vectors has got to be going up.
Right. Okay. So the point I was going to make there was I thought that was him asking, oh, did I not do that? And you said, no, you weren't. And that's the point where I do that a lot, where the question goes, oh, did I not do that? I thought I was, oh, right. And then you could reflect back and go, oh, actually, yeah, I didn't do that. And I'm getting better and better of knowing of the times that I am.
That's the truth. That is the truth. That going up is the truth.
Yeah.
That's absolute. You're either going up on that count or you're not. I mean, it's not.
That's the binary thing.
That's a binary thing. And your conscious mind knows what that means. Of course, the feeling of it going up is something the conscious mind doesn't understand.
Right, I see. Yeah, so that's then when we go and we're not necessarily aware of what's going on all the time, and we get corrected.
Your conscious mind has to have a job so it doesn't get. Otherwise, it will get in the way and intrude, contaminate. Actually desecrate the actual experience of the unconscious mind.
Right, and at very least, it's going to dilute the experience.
Absolutely, it's going to somehow contaminate it. Yeah,
yeah,
and yeah. So that's why I said that. But the point I'm making is that in somebody in your situation is you need something for your conscious mind to be completely able to sort of, because as soon as you did that, I said no, it's got to be going around all the time. It's got to move all the time. It can't be stopped.
yeah,
It's got to be. It cannot. Your 2 feet cannot move, and one hand cannot move.
yeah,
They're absolute. So you're saying, no, can't move the feet, can't move the feet, can't move the feet. I'm talking to myself, can't move this. Well, as soon as you're doing that, then your unconscious mind is free.
right.
Because your conscious mind is not getting in the way of those feelings.
And that is very literally what happens, is the mind is focused on these few things and not messing up those few things.
Those two feelings.
Right,
Not messing up the feelings.
right, because it's a sensory thing that you need to then interpret with the conscious mind that then does have this binary
it's
on,
living
off,
on
is,
two worlds.
isn't.
It's two tracks. They're parallel tracks. The conscious mind's doing its thing at the same time as the unconscious mind is doing its thing. And I saw very powerfully that something was really going on deep inside you, not contaminated by what you think you should have been doing or what you think we want, or what you think we might know. He wasn't thinking there. He was all feeling. He was all experiencing.
I need to produce this result straight away.
I've got to be good at this stuff. So of course,
Lily, take this somewhere else, please.
you're wrecking them recording. Did you know that? You're wrecking.
They're adding something more so that I can add restraint to it. Can you talk about this 98.4%?
98.4%, because you should never give everything for two reasons. One, it ceases to become yours, and two, what if I ask for more?
Hey, get out of that.
What if I ask for more?
Lily.
If you're giving everything, you can't give more.
Yeah.
So you're skating along at, I reckon, 98.4%, which is sort of a bit of a joke, but doesn't matter. And we're talking about this thing called mind to blind, which you then did. We did it later on. It's an exercise, which I don't want to talk about too much. But you have to go mental, basically. But then you corral by this other person, which is.
So it's extremely demanding and it's out there, but you have another person that is containing you and
making sure you don't come to harm.
Yeah.
And also feeling you.
And you have to feel the other person.
And you have to feel the other person and know the other person. It's the bifurcation of somebody when you become a carer. You somehow get involved in the actual cared person.
Yeah, and you have to.
And it's inevitable. So the point is, so you do this vigorous thing where you're basically sort of going, and you also, what you're doing is you're relating to the actual sound of the music. You're not trying to make it up. This guy called, what's his name? What's his name? Dick Dale.
Oh, Dick Dale, yeah.
So he's played this amazing guitar, a bit like Hendrix. So he's out of the song. He's also in the song, which is just the match that you do.
Right.
So you're doing that. But at the end of all this vigorous experience, you're going to have to say the speech.
Yeah.
It's got to serve a purpose.
Yeah.
It's not just an aerobic experience about sort of trying to get some sort of absolute speed or blah, blah, blah. It's actually creating a sort of a melting pot or a crucible. So at the end of the day, I'm going to say the speech. So of course, knowing that means in the long run, you're going to make it more productive.
Right, yeah.
It will produce something. It won't be just of its own sake, because it's the means towards an end. It's not an end product in itself. It's not about being good at this crazy dancing stuff. Who cares? The point is, what's it doing to you in terms of corralling this sort of demonic energy in such a way as it's not destroying you?
Right.
How do you access this demonic energy that's inside you? How do you do it in such a way as you can control it?
Right. So this is a massive point. With that, I just want to say that in that exercise, do the speech twice. I'm just going to make it, log it in here, that I have to do the speech twice at the end of every exercise, because sometimes we do. But I was saying something in the previous episode I was recording today, because I've had a really intense day, and I was saying that I've got all these other disciplines that I've practiced and all these different sports even. And we can go right to playing representative sport and being the star player on the team, but if you can't have a fucking relationship then
then
that's the proof that if you're single and you're separated and you're not getting access to your kids, then you know, what good is all of that? Because you can't have a relationship.
There's a finite quality to sport which doesn't exist with this thing here, because sport, after a certain amount, is sort of the same game. You know, you're going to play football, it's the same thing. And I come from a champion hockey family, so I sort of know.
Yeah.
It's not as though I don't know these things.
Yeah, and then you've created this. That's what the whole point is.
But this is metaphorical, you see. This is about your soul.
But this then means that you can go home and have a relationship.
Well, I'm not going to talk about what happens outside the training, because I mean that's your prerogative. How you use the training outside of the office, actually the psychic office of the space, when you're with us in those 2 hours every Sunday. How you do it outside that's completely up to you. I can't. I'm not going to go into that.
Right, there's another thing I want to jump in on that, because you
said. We'll talk about that's fine, but I'm not. I've got no critique of that, because it's out of my jurisdiction. I'm just not.
Okay, well, what I want to say there is, you said that you got this arena here. We need this arena, which was the venue that we're training in. You said that.
The space, yeah, the actual space we're in.
And then I left, and I didn't have my phone with me to do a recording when I left there, because I wanted to do one straight away. But the thing I wanted to say with that is, what this is about, this documenting Metamorphosis documentary and all of that I'm doing here, is about that arena is the arena, but for me at least, that arena is life. And I'm taking that into everything else that I put into life in every other circumstance. And it's because of that arena being contained and being a steadfast, safe place to explore these ideas and to push oneself. And the spirit can be pushed infinitely, where the mind, the emotional body, the ego, and we could talk about a difference between soul and spirit, as what John said the other day, but they're the same thing, essentially.
They're the same thing. You don't have to split hairs, it doesn't matter.
But it's good exercise for me to go through for a week and a half before then we have the next conversation. You go, oh, hang on, is that what I said? Well, no, they're the same thing. But John sort of put a differentiation between the soul being something that has a breaking point, a threshold limit, whereas the spirit is eternal.
I said that, anyway.
Well, I got a photograph memory, but it's like it doesn't. What the point of that is then I then have this willingness to reconsider.
Absolutely.
So then I went and thought about it for 10 days, in an artistic interpretation kind of way, to come back to have that conversation. All right. And what I get from it is I'll do whatever the fuck the teacher says. That's a really important thing.
It is.
And that's
only in the space, though. This is where you need that 2 hours, because you don't want to do stuff, outside of that. That's up to is that cops?
Well, I think perhaps I might have a
cops, isn't it? No.
Probably, yeah. I probably have the foundation to be able to then take what we do in that practice and because we're sitting here having a conversation now, so the things you say to me I then don't take in my life, and I apply them in my life. So I've got the foundation to do that, and I suppose what I'm trying to do with this documentary playlist thing I'm doing is give people the tool to be able to consider these ideas and apply them in life. For example, there's temporal things. One of the first things that you said to me. So I was doing that. I was saying hello to my dear lover, for instance, and so how am I going to say hello to you? See, it's not a proper hello unless I slap her on the ass, you see. So it's like, well, how am I going to get across the room to say hello to you? This is what I was doing for the first few weeks when I first started. From before I actually started Praxis, I went to that first before I even saw the first one, because you're talking about this as a temporal thing, time and space. Two different things, both binary, if you interpret it from the conscious mind. Would you agree? Or maybe space isn't, but the time. It's you're either in time or you're not in time. You're either in the right space.
If there's a musical structure, you're either in time with the music or you're not in time.
Yeah, so
that's depending on a musical structure or some sort of temporal structure.
All right, well, I was taking that to even say how long is it going to take me to get across the room and say hello and give a hello kiss and slap on the ass to my lover, who really gets into the mythology kind of stuff of all of this. And she thought I was being absolutely ridiculous. But that was actually something I really took from you, is this temporal thing. I've been thinking about that a lot just in this last... I was actually doing a thing which I haven't uploaded, like how am I going to get my hand off the screen? How long is that going to take? And then I was sort of doing this thing of like, I'm not really doing it now, but I did do a demonstration before of like because the camera's the other way, it's a bit easy to do as well. But like, did you recognise that my hand was not on screen? Which this is a terrible demonstration. But did you recognise that my hand's not on screen and now my face is, or that it's my baby girl? Where's my baby? See my baby. I think that temporal thing is actually very powerful to take into everyday life. You could be walking down the street.
Yeah, I mean that's what most people do. After doing the stuff that we talk about, have a much more profound involvement in those things, like just daily stuff, and that's up to you. I never say how you should. Whether my authority only exists actually in the room for those 2 hours.
Right.
How you take that outside, of course, is totally up to you. That's your prerogative.
Okay. So now I feel like I should ask you about what you just said about Suzuki saying the actor's job is to be aware of where their centre is in relation to the floor at all times.
Correct. Something like that. And I used to think that was just a bit too simplistic, but then as I thought about it, we once had a woman doing an improvisation. I said, that was really good. And she said, you know what? I was just thinking about my feet and the floor. And I thought, gee, that's interesting. It just didn't look like that. And, well, she said something like that anyway. It was one of those things where I suddenly was, so that's what Suzuki's talking about. Your conscious mind is totally involved in the fact of your centre and the floor. And these are facts. You know, where's your centre? Is your centre is your centre where it should be?
My little one. Yeah, well, that's
and I'm saying the conscious mind. So I'm trying to work out why his aphorism is so profound, and it's because the conscious mind has to be given a sort of a job description which it understands and can sort of get involved in without getting confused.
Right. Yeah.
Because as soon as you give the conscious mind something that confuses it, you're lost.
Right. Well, so I could take that principle and everything you just said in relation to it and say that is Tai Chi. My little one, shush. That's basically the principle of Tai Chi. And Tai Chi is a martial art that has no defence, it's a counter-offence, it's a yielding power of softness.
But it's not performative.
It's not, and that's exactly what I was about to ask you, because the thing is that I was always coming to a point early on, which I'm still early, but you know, in the first few weeks I got this where I would say, so I've got this, and I come to this, and then you say whatever the answer is, the answer to any of these kind of questions is, at the end result, what are you trying to do is performance. And I got, right. And that just opened up this whole world for me.
Well, what is performance? Performance is the way you interact with the outside world. That's performance.
Yeah, that's how you act, that's how you behave.
That's how you behave. And also performance is, what does the world think of you? What does the cosmos think? And so for us, performance, you know, we perform in front of an audience, but they're the de facto representatives of the cosmos. And I, as teacher, am the de facto representative of the audience, and by extension the cosmos.
Right. Well, I just really got something from what you said there. What does the world think of you? I just realised the effect that has actually had on me, what people think. But then I go, what I'm actually really getting from you is, what does the world feel from me? Because I make people feel things. They're moved by me. Whereas that thing about thinking, I think, has actually been quite damaging. So I just took something from there.
Okay, well, let's say, you could argue, how does the world receive you? How does the world accept you? How does the world apprehend you? What is it getting?
Right.
So you can say think is probably the wrong expression, but how does
but it puts me in the point of thinking. That made me get into this feeling thing, which is the big thing about, you say, what we're getting from this Nobbs Suzuki praxis, which what John said right from the start, is that people say that I might not know as much as I thought I know, but I feel a lot more.
That's right. Well, we had this academic called John Broker, who's American, but fluent in Japanese. And we had this situation where all of us practitioners had to teach him for about an hour each day. He'd never done it before.
My little one, oi, shh. That's Darshan's for you. Come on, baby girl.
So he then spent about an hour with each. And then he got to the stage where we had to do it for the kids.
Hey, my little one. Here, hey, come here. Come here, stay with me. Sorry.
And we had to do this training from Suzuki. So people like me have been doing it for 20 plus years. He's only done it for 3 days. So of course you'd think he'd be sort of apprehensive if we said why. So he turns up early and he's sort of warming up, ready for the big moment. And hey, shh.
My little one, come here. Shh. Yeah, so good. She's not good. This is Dasha. It adds.
Get people annoyed.
Come here, little one. Come on, little one. You want to take that? Keep talking. I want to capture this point. I'll just.
What was I saying?
Whoops! Oh no!
Dogs.
Oh, you bad dogs. Now you can eat that. Go.
Dogs,
Now they'll be quiet.
dogs need
Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yes. I went to the train goes past.
Yeah, that's the other thing that we've already got in that interview too. But yeah, we do. I'm always trying to be mindful of the noise.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I got to carry over. I'm just gonna watch.
Put that in the fridge, mate. Give it to Jackie. Jackie, put it in the fridge. Anyway, this guy, John Broping, turns up for this show and tell thing, and first he goes and he asks one Takamori, who's been there for 40 years, for a bit of assistance with one exercise. And Takamori goes, "Are you nervous?" Now John's fluent in Japanese, so when he says, "Are you nervous?" Takamori sort of goes, "Are you nervous?" And John goes, "Oh, good, yes, sir." And Takamori then says to him, "Don't think you know any more than I do," which is pretty amazing. And he's not pissing in his pocket, he's really meaning it. So that's one thing. And this is a man who's been doing this stuff for 40 years. I'm not kidding, 40, because he was doing it for 15 years before I met him in 1994. So there he gets in front of Suzuki and he's doing one of these exercises. And he said, "I didn't feel any fear, but I felt I didn't know anything." And I said, "Yes, you didn't know anything, but you felt everything." And that's why. And then, of course, after that, Suzuki came up to him and said, he doesn't really like academics because he thinks they're sort of leeches or parasites. And he said, "How did it feel?" Very interesting question, because he wasn't dismissing him as some sort of nerdy academic that didn't know anything. So, and the fact that he said, "How did it feel?" means Suzuki was sort of impressed with his apprehension. Anyway, I was just telling the story of this John Broken guy.
Yeah. So did you get that story out?
Yeah, I
Great.
can tell you again.
Yeah. Well, please do.
Because I really should, for your benefit. So this guy John Broken, he had about 4 hours of training with me and a few other people. And actually, no, I should continue this because this is an interesting story. So I deliberately didn't place myself at the head of the queue and sort of dominate proceedings, so to speak. So when he got to me, I was the 4th person to train him for an hour. We did an hour with him each day, hour each. Right. So 6 people, 6 hours. I was the last. And I did more than the others because I've just done more. I've had more experience with this type of thing. So, and he had a bit of an epiphany because he, at one stage, he and I was touching him, turn the stomach and stuff like that, which the other guys didn't do at all.
Right, and that's the thing. That suddenly I could learn to sing. Suddenly I learned to sing when you're doing that. Suddenly I was able to sing.
Yeah. That's pretty right.
42 years old, October, November last year. Suddenly I can sing.
Yeah.
I don't need to warm up either.
No, it's true.
That's profound. That exercise.
That is very profound. And the touching is what does it, of course. Another human being touching your centre, etc. There's another. Anyway,
one
so
of these, it's a bit drippy.
No, I'm fine. I've had enough. I've had terrific. Anyway, so, and he had an epiphany. He thought of his father who died, not long ago. He had a bit of a cry, and I said, "He's apologised." He said, "No, whatever happens. That's no big deal." And of course, he'd had a revelation. Once you've had a revelation, you never look stupid again.
Right.
Because you know something.
Right.
Almost in absolute terms, you know something. And anybody witnessing going, "Oh, they know something," I can see that they're not just, they look stupid. So that's one thing he had. So so when he came in front of Suzuki, he was actually pretty well prepared because he'd had that epiphany with me. So when he rolls up, and because he's fluent in Japanese, he can chat to the Japanese actors, which I can't really do.
Right.
So first thing he does, he goes up to Takamori, who's been there since 1980. 40 plus years or 30 plus years or something.
Wow.
Anyway, he asked Takamori, can you give me advice about this exercise? And Takamori slyly goes up and says, are you nervous? And John goes, oh, of course he is. Anyway, Takamori says, well, don't think that I know any more than you do.
Right.
Fuck, it's amazing.
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
wasn't being falsely modest. He was saying, no, the more I do it, the less I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so gets in front, and he finds himself right dead in front of Suzuki doing this exercise. He's expected to be up in one corner hiding, but he's just, for some reason, he just ends up there. He told me, he says, I didn't feel nervous, but I felt I didn't know anything. And then I had the corollary. I said, yes, but you felt everything.
Mm.
That's what you're saying too. I don't know anything, but you're feeling more. So that's what the story's about. And it's very indicative, because here's a man who, and I've seen photos of him studying Buto, and he looks stupid.
Right.
But he doesn't look stupid when he's doing this stuff. So of course now he could do the Buto, not Buto, sorry. It was Nihon Buyo. It was the dance from the No Theatre.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I've got the photo. He does look dopey. So he looks like a dopey academic. But because he's had this epiphany, he doesn't look stupid again. You know something. And that's what we find with everybody who's done this.
Right,
And I'm saying you had an epiphany probably the other night. And I was lucky to witness it. You don't necessarily always witness it, because you might not be looking at the right time.
Well, I had a few epiphanies, and I wondered, as I was asking, is that the first time that I...
No, I'm just saying it's the first time I
presented that way
noticed
to you?
something. So I'm not going to say you didn't have ones before. And I think I've seen other things. It was just, it gave me the opportunity to talk to you about what's the purpose of this thing. It's a 20-year time span.
Yeah.
And I was saying, you've got to see this thing as part of a 20-year process. So it's not about being fantastic next week or next month or next year. It's about your soul's journey and the slow incremental nature of building up of the knowledge.
Right, yeah. And also, that thing about knowing less and less is a massive thing. I think that's actually what this whole documentary thing that I'm doing is all about, is look how much less I know, but how much more I feel.
Exactly. Now, of course, you have to know things in real life. You have to know that if you eat that, you'll die, or if you don't eat that, you won't.
Yeah.
You have to know these. These are facts. But your real life is actually, what's your soul doing? What's the thing you love, you want to do? And do you see a beautiful painting? Do you want to be a songwriter? That's your life.
That's the thing, like what is moving me, what's not moving me. And also I recognise this in other people, because I've got issues that I had in my life is actually from relationships and me not recognising certain things and choices I made, etc. It's all my creation. But to recognise these red flags, so to speak, is a very valuable thing to be able to do. And the tool that I have now is this extra sensitivity.
That's right. The tool you've got is and of course what happens, you have this thing on Sunday, you go back to, you go for a whole week of doing all sorts of other things, living and dogs and all sorts of stuff. And in that time, you're sort of basically homologating these experiences you had on Sunday. So then you come back the next Sunday and you bring to the next Sunday a whole lot of resonances of what you went through after the thing on that Sunday. So
And that's where it fits to only do this training once a week, because otherwise I need to be trained every day for 4 hours at doing this. But then it's like, no, you get Sunday, that's it.
That's right. This is your time, and we just said, no, we're not teaching any more than that. We used to teach 3 nights a week, 4 hours a night, actually. But anyway, that's changed, and that's whatever, it doesn't matter.
Well, if you ever do that again, I'll be up
Well,
for it.
we have had, in times gone by, we had, 10-day workshops. We have 3 hours a day every day. But we haven't done that for a long time.
For the work that I do, if we could do something like that, I mean, we'd change people's lives.
Well,
I want to get this into prisons, actually.
Well, that's what I reckon you should be thinking of doing. You've got the right size and energy and dynamism, and you've got the right sort of dangerous quality that I think people wouldn't, they wouldn't try and cross you. You're the right person to take to a jail, if you know what I mean. Because of your sort of demeanour.
Yeah.
And I reckon you should, and I think people like prisoners should really do this stuff, because, man, you can change them. You can take that energy and really make it positive. But, so in the fullness of time, that's what you might want to do. It might be your purpose in life, who knows? I mean, it's not something we're doing, it's not something I want to see it done, but I don't want to do it myself. And I don't think, I've got other things I want to do anyway. But one of the things you do in this thing is you take...
Hey, shush.
Hey!
My little one, shush.
But your job is, what's John and Jackie not doing? I'm going to do that, and then you own it. So
that is something there that I've never really heard anyone say anything like that before.
No, you won't.
Because no, you got to do my thing. You get really good at doing my thing, so you carry my legacy.
Well, I invented this training to make myself a halfway decent actor. It sort of worked. But now, well, I'm interested in what you can take away from it. Because you say, I want to do this in prisons. Well, I didn't make you think that.
No.
I didn't say you should think about this. I'm encouraging it, but I'd encourage anything you do, because we've got people like Alicia and Chelsea in Singapore, and Shane's a very different person from you or Jaden, very different. You're all extremely different individuals, and you'll have different life journeys. So that's the point. I'm saying, no, you want to use Jackie and me as sort of a type of theodolite or a trigonometric point by which you can navigate your own life. And you say, well, John and Jackie aren't doing this. They're doing this, this, and this, but they're not doing that. I'm going to do that, and I own that. You've actually made it. You've invented it.
And that's. I really love it, because I gave you a theodolite the other day when I saw you. Because it was just this old cool thing. I'm like, oh,
no, you're right,
John. And I didn't know that word, but that is exactly what it is. If we can measure these axes of the vertical and the horizontal, that gives us two reference points to put everything else into reference. And what this is really about is a reference point of where am I in the cosmos, and that's what I was saying about relationships as well.
Yeah.
Which is a massive thing. You got brilliant people, like people are absolutely brilliant, but they can't have relationships.
Well, I'm not going to. That's. I'm providing the tools with which you want to do your own soul's exploration, your own soul's portrait of its journey. How you do that is really up to you. I'm not going to. I'm not in a position to actually sort of really dictate or predict or prescribe any of those things you do. All I'm saying is what you're like in the room. I've got authority over you in the room itself in that exercise.
Yeah.
I don't want to take that authority outside, because Jackie's a bit different actually, but that's another story.
But what's authority? That's authorship. Authority is. Get out of that. Authority is authorship. Yes.
No. Authority means I'm saying you do this now, and you've got to follow what I'm doing. But I'm not going to talk outside the training and what you take on Tuesday morning. I'm not going to say what you should be doing then.
Yeah, but
that's totally up to you.
But what I don't get, so I get that.
Sorry.
But what I was saying is the authorship. See, authority comes from the word authorship. So, and what you say, you do this way. So you are. I'm giving you authorship.
No, you're right.
Like, because I come there.
I'm giving you a sort of a starting point.
And the only reason I give you that authorship is because you have got. Here's the only place that I'll give you authorship. That I'll have authorship over you. I will not accept having authorship or authority over you in the rest of your week. But
Correct.
Here for this 2 hours, then I'll take that. And so that's why I can put myself under this man here.
Yeah, well, I mean, you want very few people will do that. Well, I've had several situations. A couple of guys, one guy who's a huge man, he was 6'6", built like a big shit house. He was like a sort of Conan the Barbarian.
Right.
He came in, he was looking for some sort of jousting event or something. I said, no, we do this. He said, oh, try it. So about 3 or 4 weeks he came to training, and halfway through he said, you're the first person I've ever met who wants me to be myself, not what they want me to be.
Yeah, well, this is a massive thing. This is what this is all about.
Massive. But that's because the training's so good. I mean, because the training is so good, I don't have to sort of get that stuff out of it. I don't have to play games with people, because that's essentially play a game with somebody.
Yeah.
When you're sort of starting to play with their mind, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
The training is so good, and of course, as teacher or inventor of this training, I do it just to find more about myself.
Yeah.
And so when I codify an exercise, or when I add something to an exercise, that's about my relationship between me and the training. It's not about between me and the actors, but me and the actual actors training.
Yeah.
And that's why, and that's sort of, shall I say, it's a bit incorruptible.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This is why I'm also doing this whole thing about being vulnerable. I'm trying to be a shining example of being vulnerable, and the sincerity is very relevant for everything you do in life. And then I try and take that and put that into everyday life, so that it is an everyday thing that comes into everything you do.
That's totally up to you. I mean, that's totally up to you. If you want to be, if your daily life's also performance, then that's fine too. I'm not in a position, once I say, to sort of critique that, because it's totally up to you. So.
And that in itself is quite a profound thing, and that's why I hope I do get something across and put it into this on-screen playlist.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter too much, because it's all part of an accumulation.
Yeah, and it's part of it, and it's also it's an expression. So this going out there is an expression into the cosmos, into the universe, and like you said, words are something that exists out there in space.
Well, that's what Arto said.
Arto.
So where's Elvis? See the Jackie?
It was just.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, there he is. I've got a feeling we should probably wrap this up. But so, anything else you want to say with that?
No, that was just Arto saying the words should be like things in space. They actually have material reality. They're not just, air.
Well, it's an interesting thing. So there's this thing called the morphogenetic field that is every thought that has ever been thought from a human being. And so that's a field that we can tap into. Don't try and do it for exams, because it will not work for you, but especially not medical ones. But that's a similar kind of thing. Every word that has ever been spoken is kind of out there somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't talk to that, but I can say, when you're doing string theory, that the expression, the speech itself has got a shape. It's a thing. It's not just an idea.
Yeah.
And that's why we do it, to give this thing, that the thing has a sort of a three-dimensional value, even though you can't measure it.
I mean, so even that was an exercise that we might wrap this up on there. We don't talk too much about the exercises here, but that particular exercise, I think you stopped me once or twice.
I said, don't do it the same way each time.
Yeah.
It's just predictable, this Dickensian sort of...
Yeah, and so when I did change it, then it actually... I realised that there was like 3 or 4 extra dimensions that I could have gone in that I just wasn't, because I'm a Tai Chi practitioner.
That's right.
And so once I was able to break out of that, then there's
I said, don't do this. Don't do what you're good at. Don't just do what you want to do.
Don't do what you're good at. That's my thing, isn't it?
Well,
don't
that's
do what you're
facility.
good
You want
at.
to go beyond facility.
Yeah.
Because facility is predictable.
Yeah.
So Jane's got a bigger problem than you, because he's got more facility.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like, he's brilliant, isn't he? So
yeah, he's a good dancer. So I mean, but he's got other problems. It's because how does he go beyond his own facility? And that's what the training's all about.
Yeah.
It's not just being well equipped. Are you transformational?
Yeah, it's a transformation, and transmutation is a massive thing with the art. And I was sort of suggesting one of these early episodes, saying that the difference between us and the animal kingdom is we've got this consciousness and this brain, intelligence, and the big thing that matters with that is art. I feel
art is the portrait of that thing.
Yeah,
that's what art is. Art's the portrait of what you feel in relationship to what the cosmos senses from you.
Yeah,
it's you meeting the cosmos with your own portrait.
Right. Yeah.
And we've got exercise that do that. That moving statues when we're sort of meeting something. That's art. That's art meeting the cosmos.
That's right. Yeah.
And you're meeting the cosmos. You're not actually looking at it. It's coming to you.
Yeah.
It's coming into you at the same time as you're looking at it.
Right.
That's very profound.
That is very profound, and I just want I've got a link in my brain that's just occurred there with, imagine yourself standing in space. And again, that's another thing that's very profound just in its own self. Imagine yourself standing in space. Jackie did that with me, and I think she did it after we did that moving statue thing. You weren't in the room. You were doing something else, setting up a lighting rig next door or something, with those chandeliers. And Jackie did the training, and she said that to me, and it's like a tree falling in the woods. Doesn't make any sound if there's no one there to hear it. Like that was that the tension between the two hemispheres is what allows the universe to exist, the two hemispheres of the brain. But it's just that thing, I think it came off the back of the moving statues because I wasn't really getting it. I only just started to get something of that last week, and I was still...
Yeah, you did, actually.
And it's still like, oh, look how far out I was, you know. Oh, really? Was I doing that? Was I doing... really? Was that me? Oh, like, I'm sort of seeing it. And the other thing is with this, like, I can move my body exactly as I'm showing the body to move, but then I get shown something. It still takes me 3 or 4 times to do it. So that shows
you're not schooled in this stuff. I mean, you know, somebody like myself or Jaden or Jackie were trained dancers, so we have a sort of physiological knowledge which you haven't got, because Tai Chi doesn't prepare you for this.
No, it doesn't.
Nothing prepares you.
Nothing prepares you for this, but this prepares you for everything else in life, and including having a relationship with a woman. That's one of the...
I don't want to talk about that.
Well, that's a lot of what my work is, and
that's up to you.
And I feel, and again, because he doesn't want to talk about it, that's when you know that it's something actually worthwhile.
It's up to you. I mean, that's your call. I'm just going to give you the sort of the vague parameters which you can jump off your own diving board. That's all, and know that you're not going to kill yourself when you hit the water.
Yeah, and it is something that's very steadfast, that is reliable. We can work with that.
Yeah, it is. It's idiot-proof. Like, you know, the thing about the training is it's a Truman tricks. It doesn't require me to say anything. I just say, okay, start stomping. I don't have to say anything. Or I could say, now stomp as though you're carrying a tree in your head.
Right.
There's an arrow through your brain. I mean, I could say all those things. Sometimes I do, but I don't need to do it. That's what a matrix is.
Yeah.
It doesn't depend on my or the director's ability to. It doesn't depend to say clever things. It exists as its own organism, with or without me or the director.
Right. Yeah.
And you could, you do something like Mind to Blind with Jade, and you can chat about to each other without me even having to say anything.
Yeah.
That's a great tip. That's a matrix.
And that's also a thing that I noticed. Like, we finish exercises and we turn to each other. We've got all this stuff to say to each other about that exercise, and we actually have that time and space. And then both you and Jackie will come and engage with us for minutes at a time, talking about that. And that in itself is this exponentially more profound, deep training, exercise and experience for us to have with the students and the teachers, having this dialogue like that. It's monumental.
It's just amazing. It is amazing, yeah. And the other thing is, because you get a completely different story from Jackie than you will from me.
Yeah.
Even though we're the same thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And Jackie is just so
well, she teaches
particular.
because she's teaching you as though you might be one of her actors.
Yeah.
But I'm teaching you as a fellow performer.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not on the other side of the lights. She is.
Yeah.
And so she can make demands on you that I would never do.
Yeah.
I could create a matrix, but she can actually direct you in that scene. Well, I won't do that.
You guys are a little bit too close to my testicles for that as well, and going away with the noise. But I mean, Jackie does have the authority, and she has certainly got the nous about her to be calling those shots from that place.
Absolutely.
And
you get a very different thing from her than you get from me.
But the other thing I want to talk about since we've got here is I did mention that John demonstrated this 10 Tech 10 walking, and it was a thing like he jumped in to show me something because he gave a direction that I was not in a position to do. I still tried to do it, and the muscle fibers in my leg just simply were not going to do it from that position. And then I broke, and I lost the whole form of everything. So John demonstrated, and so what we had there, what I had sitting there with Jackie giving the directions when the time came, then there's John who was well accomplished before meeting Suzuki in 1992, is that right?
91, yeah,
91. And then so he's been studying and practicing since then, and has developed these, the Nobbs Suzuki Praxis, these techniques. And then so next to John, who was moving in like demonstrating everything that I need to see, and is very experiential as well as just seeing it there, I was experiencing it, if you know what I mean. And then next to you was Shane, who's been doing it for 16 years. next to Shane was Alicia, who's been doing it for 12 years. Next to Alicia was Jaden, doing it for 6 years. It really was quite a experience. It was quite a sight, but it was very textual experience, and the depth of contrast and what you then demonstrated. And because you weren't in the position, because they didn't give you the space, you couldn't get your foot up onto the platform. So what you did instead, it showed me how you carry that through. And now that is something that you take into life, you take into a relationship, you take into performance, or how are you acting? How do you behave? You better watch the way you act. You know, I don't like the way you act. You know, this is what life is. This is how we behave. This is what makes us civil people, civilized, yeah? And I really saw that as the embodiment, as the manifestation and the expression.
That's good. I'm not sort of necessarily trying to praise what I did, but when you see something like that, you're taken into a realm of your own value systems, actually.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at that thing, you're seeing this mysterious energy emanating from the four of us, and you say there's different graduations of experience. But the point is, you're sort of getting that sort of mysterious space between same and different, that sort of that mysterious conjunction between knowledge and mystery, if you like, and that is something you've witnessed, and you feel it's a very definite thing.
Hey, shush.
A very definite thing, although there's no way you could measure it, there's no way you can actually communicate it. But that's the thing.
Wait. Elvis.
That's the thing.
I'm just really cautious with what happened the other night, so I'm just not going to let them build up anything there. Sorry, I was listening with you there.
What was I saying? I was just saying, see, that itself, what you witnessed then, is a very special thing, because you've witnessed some sort of mysterious event, which you can say, there was something definitely there, but I can't communicate it and I can't measure it. I can't sort of give you an articulation of what it is.
Yes.
But it's a very definite feeling. Now, that to me is incredibly valuable, because you're going to take that thing away with you, and sometime, maybe 2 years, 2 months, 2 decades, who knows, you're going to go, oh, that's what that was.
Yeah.
It's extremely valuable, and it's your own, you know what I mean? Because nobody made you think that.
Yep.
I mean, you could say the four of us made it possible for you to think that, because we created a sort of a crucible of energy which you think that, but that's extremely profound, and that's your invention.
Yep.
You'll take that away with you, and in one day you will actually be able to sort of, well, maybe not reproduce it, reconnect with it, I suppose, or something like
reconnect. See, reproduce wasn't the word I'm looking for before. Reconnect. See, what you just said, I could say that about that thing that I've had. Like what I was saying is similar. Like if I see someone cry, like they got in trouble with something, or they did do it, they didn't do it, they fell over and hurt themselves, tears well in their eyes, even across the other side of the football field, then I start crying too. I got tears in my eyes. And it's the same kind of thing of having that thing, that what I was saying, I was just focusing on the timing of the music and turning around and doing those 3 instructions in the right way, and having my hand in the right position by the time that intro finished. And then you pointed that out, there was something that I've been trying to revisit or reconnect and reinterpret as what it is.
They're the right words. And so often I find I'm always trying to revisit these powerful feelings I had when I was young. When I first saw Straw Dogs, Sam Peckinpah film, I had an amazing experience, and now I'm sort of reconnecting with that, and then not only reconnecting, but learning how to sort of transvalue it, to transpose it to another context. So
is that the same as transmute? Because transmute is this big word that I've got about this NSP.
Yeah, well, I could say that. But Sam Peckinpah was an American film director who directed several notable films, one of which was called The Wild Bunch.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the great westerns. Anyway, he was doing this last scene, and they were going to shoot it. He says, no, I want to do a long walk. And of course, all the other assistants said, oh no, not the long walk. And he didn't. And it's a pretty amazing scene, where these 4 guys will walk around the corner, they walk across a courtyard and do, it's probably 2 or 3 minutes of walking.
And he just creates it all. He puts all the band and in that.
Yeah, he does all this. It's
all
phenomenal
the drunken
piece.
people. Like it's an
phenomenal.
amazing piece. You showed me this.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
And he just made that up on the spot.
Pretty much, apparently. Anyway, so
And it's also, there's a thing about not doing this long walk because they always mess it up. Is that right? So,
No. It's just all the other people think, oh shit, it's going to take 4 hours.
Right.
It's just a lot of work, but he wants to do it because he wants to do it. So
yeah.
anyway, so I was doing this thing. I was doing this thing with Jaden. I made this set for this Nijinsky film, and I wanted to do this thing, and I had this. Somebody gave me a treadmill, which blew up. And luckily my old mate from the sailing club said, well, you just stick a drill on this, it'll make it work. So I had this thing where Jaden was playing Nijinsky and he's kneeling on the walker, on the treadmill, not crawling, but not standing. So he's kneeling and walking. And there's stuff happening behind him and all sorts of stuff. And he's doing this kneeling thing, he's going, and he's also sort of staggering. It's an incredible piece of sort of theatre.
It's brilliant.
But what I'm saying is that was my version of the long walk.
Oh, I see, right. That's what that was about.
That was the long walk. I got this idea of a long walk and I turned it into a treadmill. Not long walk at all, but I'm saying that is my transmutation of that inspiration.
Right, now that comes together, now I understand, because you showed me that long walk. You showed me the walk that they did and the end scene of the, was it the Wild Bunch called? Let's check it out, it's brilliant.
Amazing.
It really is amazing. John's got this eye for seeing this amazing stuff. He showed me Elvis Presley. You do have an eye for it, and tasted music too for it too.
The thing I'm saying is that was his long walk. I did something almost unrelatable, but I can say that was inspired by the long walk.
And now that makes total sense to me.
So the thing that you did the other night,
hey guys,
the thing you did the other night, I'm going to say that's going to be something you can actually transpose one day to something else, like my version of the long walk into the knee crawl, the knee stagger.
Right, yeah, and I can see the points of.
And so the thing when you saw me, the 4 other guys on the bench doing that thing, that's the same order of exciting inspiration.
Right, yeah, right.
And there's you're logging that in the back of your brain as an experiential
wisdom, perhaps.
Or something like that, or an insight, I would say.
It's an insight, yeah.
It's an insight, and then one day you'll be able to access that in your own way, totally not like I do, but in your own way, and that's the value.
And that's the thing. The value is there's a lot of power in this, and the value is in accessing
and being able to sort of reconnect with it.
Yeah. The access is a big word for me, and that's the thing again I'm saying about the everyday life, the daily grind, the relationships that we have at work and on the bus and down the shops and with the people we live with, our children. It's the accessing all of these tools and the power and the transmutation that I've got from it.
Well, you're using the tools to access the stuff that's actually inside you. It's part of your what I call personal mythology.
Yeah.
Which is only you. Nobody else can have that mythology. That's born of the things you started with and also the things you've made. How do you access that? It's an ongoing sort of form of centering.
Yeah. And I would say because of going through the arena and having the training space, then I have something
office.
Yeah, and then I achieve something there, or I do something there that then gives me something that accesses something within myself for the everyday life.
Is long term. That inspirational point, which is essentially like a sort of a little sort of spasm, is also long term. It's a 20-year thing to find that again, to sort of learn to sort of corral it.
Right.
You can't control it, and you can't. It will find you again.
Yeah, controlling. You don't want to be controlling this stuff.
You can't control it.
You can't control it anyway.
If you control it, it just crumbles.
Right. Anyway, I think we might wrap it up there.
I think it's pretty good. That was good.
That was
good thing to chat about that. Thank you.
I felt like I was a bit overwhelmed about 40 minutes going, hang on, we should wrap this up because I've actually reached my limit. But then we went through it and it's like, no, there is actually no limit to some of this stuff.
Yeah. You don't want to talk about it a lot, but now you've got something to think about, and you see the point is you've had this powerful physical experience which is undeniable. Nobody would look at you in that moment that I talked about off the wall with the teddies and say you look like an idiot.
Yeah.
Nobody would do that. They'd go, well, it's pretty weird shit, but they wouldn't say, they couldn't discount it. They couldn't dismiss it.
Now, can't dismiss it.
Once you've had that real thing, now you can think about it.
Yeah.
afterwards, not before.
Yeah.
Because you've got to have the thing first, and it's got to be real and profound and physically undeniable.
Yeah.
And then you've got a chance to talk. So what we're talking about now, you can now bring that sort of intellectualization to that experience.
Right. And that makes a lot of sense to me. When I played, I was only 19, and that was all about the angst not being too much, so it's still palatable. But then when I played it to you, then you go, oh, yeah, it's good, but it's just easily dismissed. And so I've been really honing in on certain things there. And what you just said there, it just really applies to that, and it's very much about that feeling that is expressed across. I don't know if I really said that very well. I say that as a point of reference because I did that just yesterday, going, all right, so I've had this full-on experience now. I pick up a guitar and go, how do I feel? Play someone else's song, so it's a blank canvas. How do I feel, man? And lucky I did that because my hand's messed up today. I can't pick up. Anyway, let's wrap it up. Thank you for that. That was great.
That's good. Thank you. Thanks for a chance to chat about it.
Well, it's great. I'm glad we got to do that. I think there's more to talk about, but I'm very, very happy we got to.
So put that down. Put this on